So this is Who Should I Start running back edition. The first one, Myles Gaskin or Jermichael Hasty. This is a good one here. But I'm going to go with Hasty, surprisingly. I like Hasty's burst and his speed. I know he's versus Seattle this week. This guy, he's got some power. He could catch the ball out of the backfield also, I believe. And if he's going to get a full workload, I say he has a better Week 8 performance than Gaskin. And as for Gaskin, now it's going to be a new type of offense, I think, with the rookie Tua Tagovailoa in the lineup. And not just that, he's got a tough Rams defense. He's got to go up against Haskin after coming out of the bye. So I like Hasty in his matchup better because a shootout. And for Gaskin, it's just not going to be a great game, I think, for him. He don't catch the ball much out of the backfield. So I'm going to say Gaskin, he'll get you anywhere 7 to 10. Hasty with more upside, 12 to 15, if even more. If he has a breakout game, and just the way that San Francisco system is, it seems like every running back that they put back there behind the offensive line has a big game. The second one, Darrell Henderson or Melvin Gordon. This ain't a bad one, but I'm going to edge it out to Darrell Henderson in this one. Henderson, he's looked pretty good on the ground over the last few weeks, and now he versus the Miami Dolphins, who I don't think is that great at all. So I think I could see Henderson getting 80 total yards and a touchdown. Just the only thing, he don't catch many passes out of the backfield. And him and Brown in like a 60-40 split. But I think this week is a week Henderson has a big game and does his thing. And Gordon, he's not a bad start either. But I'd rather have Henderson if it's between the two. Gordon going up versus former team in the Los Angeles Chargers. So you know Gordon's out for revenge to show them, you should have paid me the big money. But Gordon, he's had a couple decent games even last week. When Lindsey went down with the concussion, Gordon got the rest of the carries, ending that game with 17 carries, 68 yards versus a pretty decent stout Chief defense. But in this matchup, I'm going to take Henderson having the better fantasy day with the potential of breaking over 100 yards. The third one, Jonathan Taylor or Todd Gurley. Another good question here. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor in this one. Taylor has a pretty decent matchup versus the Detroit Lions, and he should be fresh off the bye also. Plus, it's an indoor ball game, which I like better for running backs on that turf indoors, and you don't have to deal with the weather. And for Taylor, we saw before the bye, he had probably his best game receiving the ball out of the backfield with 4 catches for 55 yards. So Taylor, he's a good guy to plug in your lineup this week. And Gurley, this might be the week where the production drops down for him. He's been touchdown dependent. He's getting all the work, is Gurley too, in running the ball, but he's not catching the ball out of the backfield. Hill is in there on third and longs pretty much, it seems like. So if Gurley don't get a touchdown, which I could see happening this week versus a stout Panther D versus the run, he might not have a good game. So in this one, I'm going with Jonathan Taylor as the start. And the fourth one, DeAndre Swift or Damian Harris. This is a pretty good one. Both guys with tough matchups. But I'm going to take, actually, believe it or not, Damian Harris in this one. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. A lot of running in the trenches, both for Buffalo and New England. And Harris, when we seen him get a good workload this year, he had a 17-carry, 100-yard game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So if he could get anywhere from 15 to 20 carries, I could see Harris cracking the 100-yard mark. And for Swift, this rookie's been impressive over the last 2 weeks, but he's got a tough matchup here versus the Indianapolis Colts, who should be refreshed coming off the bye. So I'm going to lean towards Harris. This might be surprising to some people in this one, but I'm taking Harris in this matchup. And the final one is 2 running backs on the same team, Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette. They're going up versus the New York Giants this Monday night on Monday Night Football, which is a good matchup for both guys. We saw in the last game Leonard Fournette come back, and he was the passing downs back on third down, and he also had 11 carries in that game. And I'm leaning towards Fournette in this matchup. Fournette, the big physical back. He had a good season last year with Jacksonville. The problems for him this year has been the injuries, but now he looked 100% versus Las Vegas last week, and he had a very productive fantasy day with 16 fantasy points. Both these guys are decent starts, but if I had to choose one, which I'm in the bind in one league where I got to choose, I'm going with Fournette this week. I think overall he's the better back with more burst. Definitely a better receiver out of the backfield, and Tom Brady's starting to trust him as he's going to play more. So that's 5 matchups. So who am I going to start at running back this week going into week 8 of the fantasy football season?